Signal and Cyber Museum Society is on a mission to preserve the rich history and significant contributions of Americans who have and do serve at Fort Eisenhower in the Signal Regiment and the Army's Cyber Corps. Now, more than ever, we must save these stories to educate the public, train present-day soldiers, and inspire future generations. Your support is vital to preserve this 160-year-old history and prepare young Americans for service in the 21st century. Visit secureourstory.org to learn more and join us in keeping our nation's legacy. Together, we can ensure our history lives on.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Colonel Mike Black, United States Air Force retired, Vice President, Defense, AFCEA International.
All right, good afternoon. You guys know the deal. Good afternoon. All right, thank you. Welcome back from that quick break. Hopefully you got some lunch. It's my pleasure to introduce our closing keynote speaker, Lieutenant General Jeth B, Deputy Chief of Staff, G6 for the United States Army. And the keynote will cover a lot of things, but Army Unified Network Plan 2.0, enabling data centricity for multi-domain ops. Now, let me just tell you a couple things about General Ray. Those that know him and that are connected to him, you should know about his ray of sunshine. And I know about that, and so in order to get into the mood, sir, I did my ray of sunshine this morning. Got up when you normally get up and do that, and it was a beautiful ray of sunshine over the Savannah River this morning. Also, nothing makes a former commander more proud than to see their folks that served with them continue to rise. General Ray and I worked together at the White House Communications Agency. General Ray was the commander at Camp David when I was the commander of the White House Communications Agency. And so to see him continue to rise, how he has risen, and there's more left in the tank, is just makes me very proud. So as the Deputy Chief of Staff, G6, General Ray is the Principal Military Advisor to the Chief of Staff of the Army and the Chief Information Officer for Planning, Strategy, Network Architecture, and Implementation of C4 and Cyber Operations and Networks. He began his career in 1983 and has served as an enlisted soldier, a warrant officer, and an officer. Let me just break that down for you. That's 17 promotions, okay? E1 to E7, W1, W2, O1 to O9, including the final promotion, and I don't think very many people have had this happen to them, where the Chief of Staff of the United States Army does a pivot and says, we're going to do the promotion ceremony at your residence today. And that happened. I've been to a lot of the promotions that General Ray has had, and I was fortunate enough to go to that. He served in assignments in special operations. He's a ranger at the White House Communications Agency, and specifically Camp David. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming General Ray.
How's everybody doing? Is my mic on? How's everybody doing? All right, it's on. It's closeout time. Everybody ready? Sir, thank you so much for that introduction. I truly appreciate it. I never call my former commander by anything other than sir. That's just how I am. My mom will probably roll over in her grave if I ever do anything different. So that's why I do it that way. So, okay, so we're here to the closing. What is this all about? You guys heard a lot of things this week. But most importantly is my thanks to AFCEA for, one, inviting me back. I appreciate it. This is great, to Augusta. The weather was great. I think my sergeant major saw me this morning when I was out running. She thought that I fell in the pool because I was drenched. But it was a great run in Augusta, so I really appreciate it. And for the partners that are here, the industry partners, you know, we couldn't do this without you. You heard General Stanton earlier talk about the importance of having our partners. So we want to thank you, one, for being in and holding out to the end, because I got a story I just have to tell you. And if I told a lot of the vendors when I saw them around, I say, you guys are probably going to catch a plane early, and you're going to miss it. You're going to miss the final closing on how I bring all this stuff together so we can figure out the alignment that we have across every speaker that you saw this week. You heard from opening about how the formations are using the capabilities out there. You heard from General Barrett. She talked about the things that we need to worry about when it comes to critical infrastructure. I'm going to bring all that together and why these things are important. You heard from General McPhail about our unified network and the things that we're trying to do. We're going to pull that together. You heard from General Stanton. You heard that, you know, the things that he's doing that we're trying to join in with him. We're going to talk about that too, but we're going to bring it all home. And you heard about the things like next generation command and control. We're going to drive that, all that home during this session, and I'll be ready to you know, your questions that will come. So I'll be looking for that as well. So here we go. So a lot of things are changing around the world. When I started in 1983, on my right side was just the ending of a hostage rescue in Iran. Leading up right after that was in 1983 when they had the invasion into Grenada. If you look further on, past 1983, a lot of things unfolded. We went into Saudi Arabia, to Kuwait, to liberate them. You saw changes there in our formations. You saw changes that took place when we went into the Gulf War. But today, the world is changing even more. And we have to pay attention. It's changing because warfare is changing. And we need industry and everyone in this room to think about it. The next war may not be kinetic only. I believe, like our theme is here, it's going to be non-kinetic. Look at what's taking place right now inside of Ukraine. Drones are changing the way we do business. It's proliferating our spectrum. Look at our critical infrastructure. OT, operational technology, made it into the G6, into Army Cyber, and we have to protect critical infrastructure. The other things you got to think about is electromagnetic spectrum. The attacks that's taking place right now in Ukraine is paramount, and we have to defeat that before we get into the fight. Finally, think about what could happen if a non-kinetic strike does hit us. Those blackouts that we've been experiencing, we should not take those lightly. We should be digging in to understand the why behind it. Is our adversaries somewhere inside where we don't know? Some think the war is only over there, but I believe it's over here. 24/7, and we must pay attention to it. So what are we doing about that? Well, our senior leaders on the left-hand side laid out our objectives. The Secretary of the Army has laid out objectives. The Chief of Staff has says, these are my focus areas. So for the last 100 days of my initial entry into this position, my team and I went around the world to all the COCOMs. We went and we touched every ASCC, Army Service Component Command, and we got information from each and every one of them. We went to our CTC rotations so we could understand from the warfighter what were the issues that are bothering you right now. And we derived to these line of efforts that align with what our senior leaders are asking us about. Enhancing war fighting lethality. That's a key piece of what we're trying to get after. They also said, we need to look at C4 and cyber transformation across the board, and we're going to do that. And more importantly, enable data-driven decision-making. That is key to everything that we do. So what is the plan? What is the plan that we've put together to get after that? So we prioritized EW and Spectrum. I'm in charge of the Spectrum, EW from the CCOE and the Army Cyber. They look at the EW side of this. And we're going to work together to, one, train, find the capabilities, and then employ those so that commanders can have a better and informed decision of what they look like inside of the spectrum. It is congested and contested every single day, and it's our job to figure that out, with industry partners helping us do that along the way. That is what we need from you. I know you've heard it over and over, but I'm going to drive it home because this is serious. These are our priorities. We are not going to get off of those priorities anytime soon. So we need your help. What we're doing now is okay. I need you to think 3, 4, 5 years down the road before we enter the fight. What does that look like? What can we do differently than our adversaries? The pacing threat is still China. You see what Russia is doing, how they're playing with us. We have to be ready for them in this next fight. So we need your help along the way. You heard General Stanton just a few minutes ago get on stage and said, we have tossed to him one of the hardest problem set that our COCOM commanders are dealing with every day, which is the mission partner environment. That's why in the center you see there, Joint Coalition C4 integration. It's key. We are not going to fight alone. General Stanton just told you that. We are not going to fight alone. He has a hard job right now to figure that out. The COCOM commander for INDOPACOM sent a letter directly to the DoD CIO stating, this is my #1 priority, is the mission partner environment. Within 36 hours, she answered that letter back and tossed the responsibility over to General Stanton at DCDC. There you go. You got it. Catcher's mitt. We're good. And we're going to help him along the way. That's an important piece of this. The next part of the puzzle that we looked at was our command and control. We are working in the Army to put commander back into command and control. You heard General Rainey say it. This is a 2-year event that we've embarked on so far, but it's more work to do. When General Rainey first told us to take a look at command and control, he told us there was 3 specific things that we had to pay attention to. 1, in order for the commander to win the fight, he must have assured communications. Number 2, he said he must have access to a COP. He needed to have a COP. And then access to digital files was the 3rd thing. And so that's what we embarked on under C2 Fix, trying to fix our formations. The 101st, 82nd, and 25th ID were the first units that we looked at. But that transformed into the next thing that we're looking at right now, which is enabling next generation command and control. And I want to do a deep dive with you because I want to make sure when you walk out of this room, you heard a lot about it. You heard the policy side of it. You heard from the panel that really laid out some things for you about Next Gen C2, but I want to make sure you understand, like, where did it actually derive from? And I believe that most of you in the room may not even understand what I'm going to do. And General Stanton, whiteboard showed up. I'm not sure what's going on. So let's talk about the whiteboard for a second. The whiteboard showed up. So let's take a deeper dive. Let's just take a deeper dive. Who all knew that in the Army we have 6 computing environments? I don't see a lot of hands, but The class begins now. We do. We have 6 computing environments in the United States Army. It's a very difficult problem. The enterprise is owned by General McPhail and General Barrett. This is the enterprise side. This is the Title 44 where myself and the CIO lives every day, executed by the execution arm by our cyber and then tossed down to NetCom. Just like I told you, it was tossed over to Stanton. General Barrett tosses things to NetCom. Anyway, so that's one of our computing environments. The other 3 that I want to focus on today is our dismounted, which is our handhelds. You guys know our radios. Our mounted, which is our tanks, our helicopters, and our command posts. This is the focus area. The last 2 are the sensors, owned by PEOWINS. They own the sensor side, and real-time safety critical, which is what we talked about earlier, our SCADA systems. And inside of our tanks, there is some real-time safety critical anytime you're thinking about fires, right? So it's also a real-time safety critical thing. But what NextGen C2 is looking at is replacing this ecosystem called NextGen C2 in the center portion of our computing environment. A very difficult problem. It comprises of 13 C2 systems. Some of you know them, AFATADS, TEAS, those other things. That's what it's trying to replace. And we're working to get there. The first one we said was the most difficult problem that General Kalushin is going to have to deal with is the fires one, which is AFATADS. And he's working hard to accomplish the fires portion of that part of the C2 system. Now, most of those systems, really all of them, work in a mil standards environment. J-series, K-series messages, VMF messages, cursor on target, those type of things. What General Kalushin and his team is working towards is moving all that to this ecosystem for APIs, so we can ingest intel data, sustainment data, fires data, all inside this ecosystem that has large language models, AI and machine learning to get after it. That is the difficult problem that he's dealing with, that he's trying to achieve. So what we said is that if that's your problem that you're dealing with, and you've told us what the foundation looks like, where can we help from the G6 office and the other team players to make sure that General Kalushin and his team is successful? And those 4 areas you've heard of is the transport layer, the infrastructure layer, the data and integrated, and the application layer. Those are the 4 areas that we had to focus on. The conversation that we had with General Kalushin was, we believe that we can accelerate the highway for you. So what we did was, we came up with the NextGen C2 acceleration plan, which allows us to look inside of our formations from the core all the way down to the brigade and battalion level and pull out 1,100 pieces of rolling stock, 2,400 trailers and generators, and 2 million pounds of containerized stacks that we had in the formation. And so we embarked on a journey to look at the transport layer and the infrastructure layer, and we presented it to the chief, and the chief said, I need you to go faster. We had it out to about 4 or 5 years to get it done. He said we need to go faster. So he slapped the table on a 30-month sprint to get after this. And that embarks on all 3 compos, 19 divisions, to replace everything within 30 months. All the transport and all the infrastructure layer on that tactical side of the environment. So that's what we're doing. We're going to start on 1 October. And on the 4th quarter of 2026, we're going to start putting that kit into the hands of those formations Thus, the 30-month sprint begins. So we're going to need your help. The information will be out on the road soon on the things that we're going to be buying. We just got all the units lined up under the rearm system. It was just slapped by the G357. So we have all the units lined up for the 30-month sprint to get after the transport and the infrastructure layer. Now, on top of that, General Kalushin and his team are working diligently on the integrated data layer and the application layer. You heard this morning from Mr. Welch. He talked about the application layer and the integrated data layer. It's really about how we exchange information within that integrated data layer. That's going to be the key thing. How do those applications work together in that ecosystem using large language models and using machine learning and AI in order to aggregate that data and display it on a COP in order for the commander to make an informed decision. That is the key. Now, over time, as those layers start to get in place, these 6 computing environments, we believe, will turn into 2 computing environments, OT and IT. And we believe that's where we'll end up, and we'll land there going forward. If we do land there, the other struggle that we do have out there is the fact that our commanders are still telling us that they're overwhelmed by the amount of data on the battlefield, from sensor data coming in to the information exchange within this ecosystem and everything that we're providing on the enterprise side. So it's a data overload, and we still have to find out how do we use emerging technologies, AI tools, in order to help us with the commanders to make better and more informed decisions a lot quicker. That is the end state that we're looking for. I hope that you understand and can go out and talk about next generation command and control and the why behind it, because this is specifically it. But that's not it. We still have a rooftop to put on the house. And the rooftop is our acceleration of the Army Unified Network Plan 2.0. It is all about data centricity. It's all about the buzzwords you heard this morning, zero trust. Those things are key to us getting to an end state. In order to achieve data centricity, what was laid out, 6, 7 years ago maybe, when somebody that looks like me was on stage, that said, we need 3 things. We need robust transport. We need a cloud-enabled environment that has AI and machine learning embedded in it. And the third thing we needed was a new modern security architecture called Zero Trust that used identity and credential and access management, attribute-based access and control data in order to get after it. That is the key. That is the end state. So I am going to move a little closer because I want to make sure that the industry partners understand what we need from you in order to achieve where we're trying to go. We are committed to reducing barriers and increasing transparency on everything that we do going forward. That means that we're focusing on agile funding. These are things that the Vice and the Chief are working on, but also flexible funding and flexible contracting. Those are the things that we're looking at. We're also looking at commercial solutions offerings to support on-ramping and off-ramping. This lets us work with you on this technology, regardless of who makes it. We just want to get it into the hands of the soldiers and the warfighters a lot faster. We need systems that are built with cyber protection, and you probably heard General Barrett speak about this, with cyber protection built in early in the process. We cannot add it on later. We don't have time for that. Our adversaries are now even trying to get inside of our industry partners' environment in order to get after those tools before they're actually put into the hands of the warfighter. So we need you to help us ensure that you're protecting those systems that we're putting into the warfighter's hands to ensure that the adversaries aren't getting there when you're writing code, for instance. Cyber resiliency, it isn't a luxury. It's a necessity across the board. Like I said, security built in like DNA. It has to be built into systems early in the process. Every line of code, and you heard Joe Stan this morning, he said he likes C. I'm not sure why, but he does. Every piece of hardware must be evaluated to ensure of its vulnerability, that we're protecting it. Intellectual property has to be protected. And remember, one size does not fit all. We're taking a balanced approach to each system and technology. We don't need unlimited rights to everything. However, we do need to be able to repair and sustain these systems. So modular open system architecture is still a thing. We still require it. So when you're writing the software, that's what we're looking for, so that we can be able to still do it. So modular open architecture is still a thing. Soldiers must be able to fix what breaks and upgrade what's outdated. This means working with industry partners in a way that makes sense for everyone. By investing smartly in our network and our security and our partners, we're ensuring that our soldiers have this decisive advantage on our adversaries. So together with our partners, I'm talking about each and every one of you in here, we will be ready for the next battle that's coming. So in closing, I'm going to leave you with this. And I spoke to the GEO forum that we had here. We spoke to the warrant officers. My sergeant major spoke to all the sergeant majors, and my warrant spoke to all the warrant officers. And we're telling them, and we're telling each and every one of you, these are the things that we're thinking about every day. The future fight will be complex, like I stated in the opening. And it'll be cyber-focused. That's what I believe. Joan Barrett and I do believe that. That's why we're serious about when it comes to anything cyber. Our solution, a strong data-driven network for a ready army. Remember, it's not just about technology. It's about people. We're in the people business. That's what it's about. Leaders, I need you to invest in your teams. Train as you fight, and always encourage innovation. That's what it's about. And you should be doing this, for the industry partners, inside your formations at work. You need to be doing the same thing. The people that you're bringing on board, if they're not ready to innovate, then don't pay them. Don't pay them. We have to keep up. This fight is moving very, very fast. I'm serious. It's moving very fast. And we have to be ahead of our adversary. Never stop learning. 1983, everything that I knew was analog. 2025, AI, machine learning. I never went back to school. Everything that I did from that time to here, I learned on my own. I don't have any degrees in any of these things. I just take time to learn it on my own. That's how I got to where I am. Hard work. Train hard. That's what it's about. So our goal is to have soldiers that are ready to win anytime, anywhere. This means giving them the data they need to make an informed decision faster than our adversaries. Our success, their lives, depend on what we're doing each and every day. We can't fail. Thank you so much for listening. I welcome your questions, and I hope I was able to leave you with something to think about. Thank you.
All right, so your first question from the group is there a plan to fund the fix for OT cybersecurity? Is this in the 500 days plan? It's actually 3 questions. I'm sorry, sir. How much is it going to take to fund the fix? And, oh, it's 4. And how many years will it take?
How many years will it take? How much money will it take? And do we have a plan inside the plan? Yes. So the question is, and I could toss it to General Barrett, but I'm not going to do that. But no, we do. We do have a plan. Right now, General Barrett and her team is working very, very closely with some of the partners that she has partnered with. They're out right now doing some pilots on some of our installations. This did come up from the G9. It came with some funding. We believe and know that it will come with additional funding. This will take a little bit more time as General Barrett look out, but she knows that critical infrastructure is key going forward at our camps, posts, and stations. We have 288 camps, posts, and stations that we are responsible for, and she's working towards not only what's happening on the installation, what is the installation actually dependent on by the city that's right outside the gates. So she's looking at cybersecurity from that point outside the gate right to where it tags into our infrastructure on the installations going forward. I got a thumbs up. I think I did okay on that one.
Sir, what steps are in place to ensure the unified network is interoperable with joint and allied systems to support CJADC2?
Yeah, sure. So that's a great question. So everything that we do in Project Convergence is leading up, and our unified network plays a big part in that. So everything we do within Project Convergence, Capstone, you named the number, 6 is the next one, leads up to everything that we do within the JADC2 environment. So we are not going to be left behind, and we are not going to leave any of our services behind either. So everything that we're designing has the flavor of CJADC2 built in to include the next-gen C2 environment.
Sir, you mentioned collapsing to 2 environments, IT and OT. Why only 2?
Why only 2? Because those are the ones that we're focused on that we believe that are most critical. OT, critical infrastructure, we're going to protect that, and then everything else will fall into what we call next generation command and control, which will be our IT part of it. So it's a battlefield of things. We see, so if you think about what NetCom is doing for the unified network, we believe that with the systems that they're putting in place, the tools that they're putting in place, you will be able to leave the enterprise, which is your desk, go to any installation and still be able to operate, go to any CTC rotation and be able to operate, and go to war and operate on the same device. That's the goal. And that's why we believe it's about IT and OT.
So you touched on the people and training aspects. How is the G6 investing in training and talent development to create agile cyber forces, cyber and signal forces?
Yeah, sure. There's a transformation that General Barrett and I are working towards to ensure that we meet the demand of training this force to meet the next fight, which we know that within our formations, data is going to be the key to everything. So we know that embedded in our formation needs to be folks that understand data. If you don't understand data, you get left behind. So it's something that her and I are focused on right now. So we're putting that in place. And also across the Army, we're ensuring that senior leaders, and it's going to trickle on down to the formations, that they're going to go and learn about data. They're going to learn about AI, because we believe it's inherent that every individual understands how that plays within the ecosystem that we're creating.
Sir, what do you see as the risks and rewards of integrating AI capabilities into systems and solutions employed on the battlefield?
Yeah, so let's talk about the risks first. So the CIO, Mr. Garcia, and I, initially when AI tools were popping up on the network, the first thing we did was we made sure we had a policy that stated if it's not containerized or at least we had an air gap between our network, then you're not able to utilize that AI tool. So we put that policy out there quickly, and then we quickly started educating senior leaders and reminding them that everything you type into AI, you're training the tool. But also, you're giving our adversaries an advantage. Because once you train that tool, if it's not air gap, and they're able to utilize that same capability, they now have your information. So let me give you an example. If you ask AI to say, hey, please, I am going out to the field, I'm going to conduct a hasty attack, can you please give me a concept to do that? Once it lays that out, that's part of the AI tool now. So if our adversaries go in and ask the same questions or something similar, they're going to get your result. And it may be giving away your position as well. So those are the things that we're trying to ensure. So Mr. Garcia and I are a little concerned about that. But like you heard Mr. Wells said this morning, AI, we need it now. It's too late. We cannot take it out of our environment because we are inundated with data. Sensor data, intel data, sustainment data, medical data. We are just inundated with data, so we need some tool to aggregate that information for us so we can make sense of it a lot quicker. So AI is here to stay. And I think there are other large language models and things that are coming along the way. If you're not paying attention, if you look at Meta, they're looking at artificial superintelligence. There's another piece that's coming called artificial general intelligence. These are things where I can put on glasses, I can look at an environment, and it tells me what's going on. It's changing every single day. So I think it's here to stay, and we need to understand how to embed it into our ecosystem.
In an increasingly contested spectrum environment, how is the Army staying ahead?
Sure. So the contested environment, and what I want to remind everyone is we always think it's at the fight. I wrote a paper like in 23, I believe, called The Electromagnetic Spectrum Warfare Hiding in Plain Sight. And I talked about that it's about the things that happen at the home front as well. There's going to come a day, I believe, that we're not going to be able to go to the grocery store and check out because we won't be able to scan anything because the adversaries are there. I don't believe we'll be able to scan at the pumps. If we don't get these areas secured, our stoplights might go out one day and cause havoc within the city. So the spectrum is larger than just when we go to fight with drones or our networks. It's larger than that. And so we need to pay attention across our critical infrastructure so that we can leave from the fort to the port to the objective and back home safely. So the spectrum deals along that path. And it is inherent that we need to learn how to protect each step of the way. And we can't do it without our industry partners. We're doing it every day to secure our banking system. Everyone feels comfortable every day that you get on your cell phones, you're checking your bank accounts, you're feeling good. We need to have that same level of comfort with the systems that we provide to our warfighters every single day.
That was our final question for General Ray. Please welcome Brigadier General Paul Fredenberg back to the stage.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you, General Ray. That was an outstanding way and very motivational way to close out the conference. Things are changing. Warfare is changing. Non-kinetic is more important than ever. So you talked about dominance in data-centric decisions, in electromagnetic spectrum, in communications, electronic warfare, and in cybersecurity, including IT and OT. These are the key objectives that the Army is moving towards rapidly. And the Next Gen C2 brings that all together, and you outlined that. Now, the whiteboard was a real nice touch, though. I think we can all appreciate that. That thing appeared out of nowhere. You know, so General Stanton talked about this whiteboard, right? Like, and then he looked around the stage, but nothing was there. And then all of a sudden, General Ray comes out and poof. So that was a great touch. Thank you. And I would argue that your message to our industry partners today, towards the end of your comments, will not go unanswered. They are ready to step up and support. So in lieu of a speaker gift, AFCEA is going to make a donation to the Signal and Cyber Museum Society on your behalf. So thank you very much. So at this time, we're going to begin the final shots here, but I need to bring up, welcome Brigadier General Mark Miles, the Deputy Commanding General of the U.S. Army Cyber Center of Excellence, and a phenomenal leader I can attest to. He's going to close out TechNet Augusta with some final thoughts on the Army transformation initiatives in line with that non-kinetic dominance in multi-domain operations. Thank you, Mark.
All right. Hi, everybody. Hey, so I'm Mark Miles. I'm from the Cyber Center of Excellence. It's my honor to be the thank you guy. So I did right before this. General Fredenberg said, "You realize you're going to wrap it all together. You're going to wrap all the whole week, the 3 days together." I'm like, shoot, I thought I was just the thank you guy. But good thing is I can't do better than wrapping things up than General Ray just did. So, sir, thank you for taking that piece in the last 30 minutes of me trying to figure out how I was going to wrap it up. Now that I view that rock as largely off. But seriously, I have a few. I do want to start, and I'm going to end with some thank yous. The first is I want to thank. I'm going to go in alphabetical order here. I'll thank the AFCEA team first. These events, I've been honored to be a part of a few of them, both here and as my time in Indo-PACOM J6 in Hawaii. We partnered with AFCEA to put the TechNet Hawaii on, which, shameless plug, I think it happened end of October. I'm sure General Fredenberg will mention that here at for closing comments. But the lead up is always an adventure, but AFCEA always pulls off a spectacular event, and it looks seamless when it comes together. But there's a lot of sighs of contentment at the end and realization of hard work. So specifically, Terry Rogers and Mike Black and Ben Smith. I want to just a whole bunch of team, but a lot, seeing the work they did and the effort they did to pull an event like this together, just amazing. So a round of applause for our AFCEA partners, please. Next of the four, I want to recognize our DoD members, both our uniform wearers, our civilians that came here, especially the ones that came here from far away. There's a reason why I put a star next to this event on my own personal calendar every year. You get to see a lot of friends. You get to see people from all over the Army. We come together. It's great conversations. And in some cases, technical conversations, which you don't get to always have in an operationally high environment down at a tactical level. But it's technically difficult problems that are fun to talk about, are fun to work through, but also it's a good time to just catch up with how's your family. And so this environment, and I know just a reality, everybody's TDY budgets are under pressure, but also, as was mentioned many times this week, there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of nexuses going on in the Army. So even just taking the time, I know is tough for a lot of the leaders that we have across the room at every ranks. So thank you for all our DoD members that made the trip here and made that conversation even more fruitful and even more important. So a round of applause for the team. Number three, I want to thank the hotel. I want to thank the Marriott and more broadly this community. That one awesome thing about TechNet is to be able to highlight this beautiful area that is Augusta, that we have the honor at Fort Gordon to call home. But man, we have such great partners. You heard from the mayor at the kickoff, the president of the college here, local in Augusta. We've got great partnerships across academia, but really across this whole area. So I hope you enjoyed not only the hospitality of the Marriott and the hard work and the support they give our teams, but really this entire area. So I'm not sure if any of them are in here, but please a round of applause for the Marriott team. And number 4, not only just a not a last but not least, but maybe last and more importantly, our industry partners. Thank you for attending this. Thank you for your innovation. Thank you for being such a big part of what makes us not only successful, but what makes us as a nation strong. So I want to pause there for a round of applause first for the industry partners. Please. And then I want to anchor there for a second. You could argue we win World War II based on our superior industrial military complex. You could then further that into, again, what makes America special, what makes us so strong, what makes us able to harness innovation, what keeps us that dominant force on the planet. And it is as much that partnership between what we do at all facets of this nation and then what we're able to then translate that into employing for our DOD. And that doesn't happen without our industry partners. I think just today, General Ray and General Stanton mentioned it many times. That doesn't happen without that innovation and be able to bring that innovation together. That happens 365 days a year. Events like this, events like TechNet, are a catalyst. It doesn't start new things, but hopefully it brings the people in the room to make it faster, to make it more efficient, to answer hard questions, to ask hard questions. Again, that conversation doesn't happen without the partners, and thank you for that. This event and those hard questions and that focus was on non-kinetic operations, as General Fredenberg said, and really non-kinetic dominance was a focus. We put a little bit different slant than past years of AFCEA, TechNet, Augusta, but not that far off. It is still about employing technology. It's employing about industry best practices. It's about employing technology that's modernizing around us and below our feet. We focused on warfighting, on enabling lethality. We focused on delivering combat-ready formations, on continuous transformation, and on strengthening the profession. Those were the 4 goals. I heard walking around the hallways and in various panels, I heard things like UAS integration, common operating picture development at echelon, integrated AI and AI-assisted C2, as General Ray said, decision dominance, to be able to think, act, and decide faster than an adversary on the battlefield. All things data in many different forums. A special focus in many forums on EW. I got a question today, like, why were there 8 different panels on EW? I'm like, only 8? Man, maybe that wasn't enough. We'll try harder next year. Hopefully we'll get like a dozen. But we heard security by design, and we've got to bake in our, we can't afford to be reactive when it comes to cybersecurity. And what does that mean? What does that mean at every echelon? What does that mean in different regions, in different AORs? You heard that in various panels. Rethinking NetOps. I don't know what the right answer looks like of what the future of NetOps, but I know what it isn't. And it isn't NetOps that Captain Miles had, where you had 12 people watching the status of a network and reacting when a green link went red. That's not the future of NetOps. Industry's going to help us figure that out. Discussions like that happened this week are going to help drive what that looks like, not only materiel-wise, but what our processes need to look like. What does the training need to look like? What does the workforce that does that at echelon need to look like? And then, of course, dominating all things electromagnetic spectrum. Back to some of those the panels, that's EW, but that's also so much more. So a lot of great conversations. And also, we saw multiple times the bench being built. Another great nexus here with bringing academia into these forums. We saw a military and collegiate capture the flag event. There was another capture the flag event this week, if you didn't get a chance to see it, about that had high school and middle school students doing a capture the flag event. There was an ROTC panel and lunch. There was a poster presentation that was provided at the Future Leaders Pavilion. And a lot of special forums specifically at the Future. If you didn't get a chance to see them this year, please put that on your schedule for next year to interact, because it's fascinating to see, and it's heartwarming to know that bench is not only being built, but that bench is strong. So it was an amazing 3 days, but it's not done. As I mentioned, we'll never be done. This is a catalyst. The conversations had started, hopefully, prior to here. Hopefully they were amplified, maybe some new conversations started, but not many concluded, maybe none concluded in this. Maybe some experiments have started, maybe some agreements were made on some demonstrations, but we've got a lot to do going forward. We've got a lot to do as a team going forward. And then finally, please remember that Fort Gordon is your fort. You know, we at the Cyber Center of Excellence, we stand ready to support you all. We pride ourselves on being the excellence in the COE. We pride ourselves on being a nexus that can bring together industry, that can bring together academia, that can bring the power that is AFCEA to bear, not just in the 3 days that is TechNet, but to leverage that relationship any day of the year to strengthen what we do. Because what we do, again, is so important and is key to driving us to the strength that we are as a nation. So I will finish where I started, and once again thank AFCEA for a great event. It was an honor to be part of it, and it's an honor to be the COE rep that gets to stand up and be the thank you guy here at the end of it. So, sir, thank you.
Thank you, General Miles. Please welcome General Fredenberg back to the stage.
All right, Mark. Thanks for that wrap-up, General Miles. That was excellent. I was a little disappointed, though, that you didn't use the whiteboard. I mean, haven't you learned your lessons? I mean, we have a blank side on the other side of the whiteboard there. All right. Hey, teammates, thank everyone so much for joining us this week and contributing to the success of TechNet Augusta. It was great to hear from our leadership at every echelon. Okay, this wasn't just hearing from the senior leadership. We heard from leadership at every echelon in our panels, in our discussions, everywhere. So this was a fantastic event across that. We heard from our industry partners, from our academic partners. And it was also great to see the collaboration that not only took place in the sessions, but on the exhibit floors, in the hallways. Lots of continuing discussions that are certainly not over, as Mark says. Now, I do want you to know, though, you did one amazing thing this week. You all set a new record. And that means that there are more teammates that are leaving here this week with a better understanding of how they can work to achieve Army priorities and objectives. There is more camaraderie that was developed across the force, across the whole force. And I will tell you that we exceeded last year's record attendance and set a new bar for next year. So congratulations to all of you. And just like partnerships are important part of putting together an event like this, we've also heard this week how they are so crucial to finding those non-kinetic solutions required for the future fight. So I want to give a few special thanks out as well. So I want to start by thanking Major General Ryan Janovic, the Commanding General of the U.S. Army Cyber Center of Excellence, and his team. So Mark, please pass that along for us. Your team is amazing. It takes a family, you know what I mean, or a village to raise a family, whatever the saying is, but you guys were part of that village that helped put this together. I want to thank Eric Gladman once again and the Greater Augusta chapter, the Greater Augusta community for participating and being such an important part of the planning and getting us ready to do this. So please give them a round of applause as well. Many thanks to the speakers, the sponsors, the exhibitors who helped plan and execute TechNet Augusta. And I also want to give a special thank you to the attendees because you were engaged. And believe me, you were just as critical as all the others. So please give all of those folks a round of applause as well. All right, we put these conferences together to enable that this exchange of ideas and solutions, but we put them together for our attendees. And hopefully, you're all members of AFCEA, because I don't know why you wouldn't be. But if you're not, there's still time to go down to booth 123 or just jump on the website, www.afcea.org. There is a link. As soon as you click on that, it says join. Get involved. Engage with your community, as Mark said. Look at the things that we're doing right here in the immediate Augusta area. Look at those things that we're doing to impact the Army and the Department of Defense and our national security at large. So if you want to be part of a really cool thing, jump in and join. In about a week, everyone who attended here is going to receive an email with a link to this week's presentation. So if you missed something or you weren't able to attend a session, you'll get a link that'll give you access to those things. That email is also going to contain a survey, because we are always trying to improve ourselves here. So please take some time to answer those survey questions. It's only going to make our events better, and especially work to make next year events better. And we already got the message, more sessions on electronic warfare next year. All right, and then I would also say, please visit our website, again, www.afcia.org. There is a full calendar of events for industry to engage, for our military to engage, for our local communities to engage. But we have upcoming events including TechNet Indo-Pacific, as Mark mentioned, 28th through 30 October, and TechNet Transatlantic in Frankfurt, Germany, if you need to do a little Christmas shopping, 3 to 4 December. So please join us there. All right, look, Mark said it, but I'm gonna emphasize it again. The work is not finished here. All right, we have lots of follow-ups to conduct. We have a lot more details to close out based on the discussions and the ideas and the solutions that were developed during this week. So our work is not complete until we reach our objectives. So I'm looking forward to continuing this collaboration and continuing to get the Army the capabilities that it needs. Thank you again. Please travel safely, and we'll see you at the next event.